Jayden is a 6-year-old who's been in our program for 2 years now. When he came to see us, he was having a lot of seizures. He had delays in all of the areas, so in physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and feeding therapy. He had never been in a school environment before, and he was pretty hyper. It wasn't really clear that he was going to be able to sit in the classroom. And he's been here for 2 years now, and he's doing really great, making huge strides. He doesn't need any feeding therapy anymore. He gets very limited speech therapy, and he continues to really make a lot of improvements with his PT and OT.
Can you tell me a little bit about what therapies you get here?
I get George, Jesse, and Sofa.
And what do they do?
And Jesse helps me cutting and using and help me put on my clothes, and she teaching me. And George helps me with my feet, and Sofa helps me talk with my big boy voice.
With your big boy voice, that's great.
So the Blythedale Day Hospital program is a really unique program where we have kids who really have a lot of special medical needs or therapy needs. They need a lot of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, or feeding therapy. And they can come here during the day and get their therapy and go to school, and then they can go home at night and be with their family and spend weekends with their family. It allows them to really get the therapy they need from a medical standpoint without parents constantly running back and forth to appointments and without them being in the hospital.
When it was fall season, me and my friends carved out a pumpkin and took out the seeds, and we planted them. And over fall break, somebody didn't water them enough and they died. But one of the seeds survived, and I carried it with lots and lots of love.
So the story of the pumpkin, though, was something super special, and it's like a real story of perseverance that I think reflects a lot about him as well. And it was this activity that started out as inside and outside character traits, and it was close to Halloween, so how fun to use a pumpkin, and Jayden really got into it and just loved it so much and wanted to extend his learning and turn it into a science activity and see what we could do with these pumpkin seeds, and wanted to plant them, of course, and see what that life cycle would bring him. And it started out great. We got some great sprouts, and he was very excited. Unfortunately, over Christmas break, they were not watered, and they all died. Now, Jayden being Jayden, still, he had a wonderfully positive attitude about it, understood this is part of the process. We learned something valuable here. They needed more water than we gave them over that week, and we can always try again. And I think that's the wonderful idea, that we can try again and we maintain that kind of attitude of positivity. And then we got a really sweet surprise in the spring when we do our regularly scheduled gardening and planting. We reused that old soil from those pumpkin sprouts, and we used it to plant other seeds, and we got a nice surprise. All of a sudden, his eye for detail noticed this one sprout that did not look like the others, and he realized, of course, that that was a holdout. One pumpkin seed was still in that soil, and it had sprouted, and it was almost like it was waiting for him. What inspires me is that they always see the positive in any situation. They're ready to learn, they're excited about everything that they're doing, and if there's a hiccup, if there's a little bump in the road, they've really learned that that's part of the learning process, and that's okay, and there's something beautiful and special in that too, right? So I think that his perseverance really speaks for itself, but that's also the story of the pumpkin, right? This little pumpkin had to persevere.